Welcome back to Foul Trouble. Today, Patrick and I are going to be giving our tier list of the big stars on the trade market. Let's get into Foul Trouble.
How's it going, James? Did your employer or anyone send you home in the middle of the night this week?
No, that Chris Paul story is absolutely crazy. I mean, I feel like I've noticed a lot of Clipper fans are like actually really upset about it because basically it's like Chris Paul, for those of you who missed it, got quote unquote sent home by the Clippers. They're just done rostering him, but they're not going to waive him or cut him. I guess I saw the Clippers have some sort of issue with the hard cap, so they can't even sign people to the minimum, but they need to keep Chris Paul on the roster to meet the minimum player. So that's a whole logistical mess that I feel like the NBA should not make minimum contracts count against your salary cap. That just seems like pretty normal. But Dude, I don't know. It feels like if he's just trying to keep the team accountable and they're like, how about no, Chris? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I can't remember who I saw make this point, but one, it's like the most Chris Paul thing ever to like care too much when like your team is not doing very well. But like, what team like would fall on deaf ears more than this like elderly Clippers roster? They're like, Chris, like, come on, we've known each other for 15, 20, maybe 25 years. Like we're terrible. Stop like yelling at us.
I feel like the worst people in life are often the people who are like, if you're on a sports team and like you're like one of the better players are like, oh, well, you're a bench warmer, so I shouldn't listen to anything you have to say. It's like, well, they're the ones who are observing, so they actually have a good vantage point a lot. And also it's Chris Paul. Like, maybe he's not all that great now, but he should still have an outsized voice. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, I guess we don't know exactly like what played out between him and Ty Lue, who apparently they have not been on speaking terms for weeks now, and it's not like the NBA season is even that old. But what I found most funny about this whole Chris Paul thing is that like this might be the end of Chris Paul's career. We don't really know if he'll play another game. But how Chris Paul is it that he didn't even get a full media cycle where he was the biggest story? A big giant wing might have demanded a trade and completely took all the attention away from him in Giannis.
yeah, I know. I feel like the Chris Paul story went a little under the radar too. I was confused because I woke up to him with his Instagram post and it was just like highlights of Jamal Crawford throwing Blake Griffin lobs, and I was like, why am I watching this right now? I mean, it's awesome.
I did like that he posted the screen grab of him FaceTiming Blake and DeAndre. Like, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
Same. But let's get to what we wanted to. So Patrick had this idea where you're gonna rank or tier out this list of available, quote unquote, available stars in the trade market. I'm just gonna read the list of stars: John Morant, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Trae Young, Sabonis, Zion, LaMelo, James Harden. Did I say Harden, Leonard, Larry Markin, and Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo? So I came up with 5 tiers for these guys.
I also had 5 tiers. I don't know if you said Zach LaVine. I feel like quote unquote available and quote unquote stars are like we have to put quotes around both.
Yeah, so Patrick and I were talking. I actually feel worse about every single person on this list. I guess I don't feel that much different about Anthony Davis. I kind of feel the same about him, but I feel worse about just about everybody else on this list. After digging into their contract, how they've been, the prospects for them going forward. So I guess, Patrick, I feel like the thing with this list, at least for me, the top and the bottom are really boring to talk about because they're kind of so obvious. So where do you want to start?
I feel like top down might be the most fun, just in terms of like who is the most valuable and then falling all the way down. Because in the middle, it is very like, to each one's own, you know what I mean? But I assume you had Giannis in a tier of his own. I had a Giannis tier.
Yeah,
top.
I had a Giannis tier. So I'll just lay the table work. Giannis is 31 years old. He has 3 years on his contract, including this year, at 54 million, 58 million, and 62 million. Obviously, he's averaging like 30 points a game. He's been amazing. The reason I kind of walked away from this exercise feeling a little worse is he had another injury last night. He's been a little injury plagued Now, it hasn't seemed to affect his on-court offensive performance whatsoever, but I'm starting to worry about these injuries. Looks like they're starting to pile up here for Giannis. I feel like there is a potential for like disaster for whatever team does end up trading for him if this kind of keeps going. Also, just it's just he is 31, so we don't know how his game, obviously it's aged great now, but we've kind of seen NBA players really start to peak around 29, 30, 31, and sharply, not sharply, but do tend to decline. So there is a chance this is Giannis's last great pure peak year, especially if injuries pile up. So I still think he's by far the best of all these guys, but I did have that little concern.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that that's like a fair thing to flag. Right now, he has 2 additional years on his contract after this season. This season, he's at 54 million, then he goes up to 58 and then 62. Like, that's definitely not nothing. And, like, let's be honest, just kind of like what you said, he's almost 31, and we have never seen a big man that relies on like transition play age quite like Giannis. Like I'd even say like LeBron. I mean, obviously LeBron is a little bit smaller than Giannis, and he's not quite as reliant on just like pure transition, like, and just his moving ability as Giannis is. Of course, Giannis is in like such great shape, and I mean his like per 100 possessions, per 36 numbers, like make it even crazier, like how good of an offensive season that he's having.
Yeah, his
but
playmaking has elevated for sure.
and when you factor in the team around him, like Ryan Rollins and Kyle Kuzma are like his second and third best players. It is pretty impressive. What did you make of the whole like Giannis prime, like trade primer news dump that happened yesterday?
I kind of feel like the Giannis situation is weirdly similar to the Damian Lillard situation, where I feel like at heart of hearts he doesn't really want to leave. He just feels like he has to, which is kind of where I felt like Damian Lillard was when his news dump happened like 2 years ago, where it kind of felt like Dame was like, because I remember people were like, "Are you requesting a trade?" And he was like, "Well, no, I'm just obviously really frustrated. I've been really loyal, and the team sucks. Like, I feel a little trapped." And I kind of getting that vibe from Giannis, where I don't know if Giannis is out there like, "I demand a trade." More so, he's just like, I feel like he kind of is like, I feel like I have to get traded because this situation is bad. So I don't know. I mean, what did you make of it? I guess maybe I'm looking at it through a very innocent lens.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think of it in that way. The exact verbiage that Shams used, for anyone that missed it, was that Giannis and his agent and the Bucks are discussing whether his best fit is staying or elsewhere, and a resolution is expected in the coming weeks. I mean, for me, like a scared small market team fan, that is like as good as saying like,
You're
get me the
gone.
hell out of here right now. But I also think it's like inherently different from the Damian Lillard situation in that like Giannis held up his end of the bargain, so that there is a little bit more like understanding, I think. I would hope, and I believe, from the fan base of like, you already delivered your championship, like you've kind of held up your end of the bargain. Also, like the team around Giannis right now is not that championship team, so it's not going to be one of those weird things where it's like, you know, they tear apart the James Harden Houston Rockets, but Eric Gordon's still on the team for the next 5 years. Like, it really doesn't resemble any of the great Bucks teams of yore anymore. So I do feel like the writing is on the wall, and I think definitely by the time next season rolls around, like, it's gonna be a wrap. But with that being said, it's really hard for me to believe that they're gonna be able to get a trade done in the middle of the season. Like, he makes so much money, like you can't really do like 5-for-1 deals where it's not just like completely cracked in the middle of the season the way you might do in the off season when you have the extra roster spots and stuff. So it's like that's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, but I do think like there's fire to this smoke for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. My one thing that because I remember the one critique a lot of like hardcore Bucks watchers and Bucks people were like, why is this Dame Giannis thing not working? And it was like the secret thing about Giannis is he's a bad screen setter. And I don't know, I'm just a little dubious if I'm the Knicks of like I'm gonna replace the Cat Brunson pick and roll with the Giannis Brunson pick and roll because in theory it's better. In reality, we saw. I mean, I just feel like if it couldn't work with Damian Lillard, who's I think more of a threat on pick and roll actions than Brunson is per se, then I don't know, man. I still love Giannis. I feel like I'm coming off as kind of down on Giannis. Obviously, Giannis I think is a top 5 player. I just think he's in this weird part of his career where he's like a playmaking engine by himself now, but he's also still not the greatest like self-initiator in the half court. So I do kind of feel like you need to put that like athletic defensive team around him, a la that Bucks championship team. And I just feel like that. Who is that team? I almost feel like that team, Patrick. Does this sound crazy? Is like the Pelicans if they can also trade for a point guard.
No, I've got the team for you, and they've got the Pelicans pick. I am in
The Atlanta
love
Hawks.
with the idea of the Atlanta Hawks acquiring Giannis. Like, I really like I think he is kind of perfect for Trey. If you're thinking like, what's the perfect superstar to like get the most out of Trey, like insulate him with defense, someone that Trey can just feed and feed and feed. They have the Pelicans pick that they have next year is the more favorable pick between the Bucks and the Pelicans. So they could literally trade the Bucks back their first round pick. And the Bucks, they only are 10-13. Like, I know they're not catching Washington or Indiana or Brooklyn, but I mean, I think they can catch all, if not most of like the Western Conference teams if they really, get this tank rolling right now. And I mean, I think you could easily do it. You've got $30 million of a Kristaps Porzingis expiring contract right there for the taking. And then you only need to figure out like $20 more million. So whether that's Zachary Richardson or, I mean, I'm assuming Hawks fans don't want to let go of Jalen Johnson. But, if you can get Giannis and that's the sticking point, are you going to do it if you can keep on to Richardson? I just think there's a lot of different ways you can you can put a trade like this together.
It's funny that you said that because when you said the Hawks, I envisioned them trading for Trey, Trey in the deal, and then trying to then make a subsequent trade for a more defensive-minded guard. But yeah, I mean, I think Atlanta would be cool. I can kind of picture Giannis in those like yellow, red, white jerseys. It'd be kind of sick. All right, should we move on to our next tier?
Yes. What is your next tier?
So I have this tier. It is the big tall guys tier.
Okay. Who you got in this tier?
I've got 2 people. I've got Anthony Davis and I've got Lauri Markkanen.
In my second tier, I actually only have one player, and it is Lauri Markkanen, and it is called in my prime and appropriately paid tier.
So this is why I think I really walked away from this exercise feeling really down about Markkanen. But first off, Patrick, I was going through Anthony Davis's stats. This blew my mind. Anthony Davis in 2014 and 2015, he led the NBA in field goals made per game with only 9.4. Does that sound shockingly low to you? Because it did to me, so I did some more research. And of course, I pulled up LeBron's page because it's just got 23 seasons of data just to compare. I was like, how does LeBron not average at least 10 field goals made a game in the middle of his prime? LeBron James has only gone under 9.4 4 times in his 23-year career, including this year.
And it was that, yeah, that is crazy.
That is the middle of Steph Curry's first MVP ascendancy. That is James Harden is solo cooking in Houston. What happened in the NBA that year where the league leader, Anthony Davis, only made 9.4 field goals a game?
It's interesting, too, because he didn't attempt any three-pointers per game that year. It's just all 2-point field goals.
But I went through it, and that one season is just this one season where the league leader isn't at like 10 plus, like shocking. Like, you know what I mean? Like Jokic, LeBron, Luka makes like 11, 12 a night.
Yeah, everybody was just really sharing the ball. If only we could go back to 2014, 2015.
But anyway, the reason I have the league leader in 2014, 2015 field goals made per game in the same tier as Lauri Markkanen is because I think your hesitancy with Anthony Davis is one, contract. So it's the same, actually the same as Giannis, except it has a player option on the final year. So it's this year at 54 million, next year at 58 million, final year at 62 million. Now, here's the secret sauce with Markkanen and why I had to put him in the same tier as AD. Markkanen does not miss. Markkanen misses as many games, if not more, than Anthony Davis does. He's not this moniker of health. So that's the other scary thing for me with Markkanen. Markkanen's career high in games played is 68 as a rookie. His career high in games played with the Jazz is 66. That was his first year with the Jazz. So you're looking at a guy who actually has never played as many games in a season as Anthony Davis did, only last season. Or 2 seasons
But
ago.
I will say, James, you have to add like 7 games to each one of those Utah years because there is definitely some tanking chicanery going on those games played.
I suppose, but I guess what I'm saying is Anthony Davis had a 71 games played plus playoffs like 2 years ago, and Markkanen has actually never had a season that healthy his entire career. Whereas Anthony Davis, I know he gets hurt, quote unquote, all the time, and now he just came back and he's now got to play with goggles. But I just don't know if Markkanen is this healthy guy, and I think Markkanen, the Jazz spent a lot of last season putting the ball in his hands a lot more to let him kind of grow his game. And I think he has grown his game. The guy's averaging near 30. Lauri Markkanen's awesome. I've got him here in tier 2. Man's only 28 years old. He should age well as an off-the-ball shooter.
See, that's why, honestly, that is a huge reason of why I separated him from Anthony Davis in this tier, is that Anthony Davis is 32 and a half years old and Lauri Markkanen is only 28 years old right now. And he has one more year on his contract, which, you know, I mean, it's a big contract, let me say, but it's he has a couple more years of his prime that Anthony Davis has passed on.
All right, well, I just double-checked. My notes are off. I don't know if I spot rack or where I got it from or I typoed, but I have 31 years old, but you are right, Patrick. He is 32.
He's just...
Either way, you're right. You're right. He is
Yeah.
He is currently 32, so he'll be 33 next year, 34 his final year. I think what happened was I added 3 years to 31. I did that wrong. Okay, so Anthony Davis, 32. Great point. My issue with Markkanen is he, despite getting all his year of on-ball reps and being in a situation where he's the guy, he's just still like the worst assist to usage rate guy in the whole league. Like Markkanen's still only to average 30 points and only 2 assists is like a catastrophe, I feel like. And
that's some Dylan Brooksian stats right there.
As he torches the Lakers. But I would be so scared to be paying Lauri Markkanen. So Markkanen, this is a plus if you're trading for him. He has 4 years left on his contract, including this year. So you got this guy under control for a while through his age 31 season. 46 million, 46 million, 49 million, 53 million. The reason I'm just down on Markkanen is I'm just a little afraid to commit a third of my cap to a guy who is a black hole, but he's going to be touching the ball so much. I'm just worried, like, what does that look like on a super high level team? We don't even know what that's going to look like in the playoffs. I feel like Markkanen is going to be due for a really rough playoffs on any team where he's a top 2 usage guy. And teams are just going to totally take advantage of the lack of playmaking. I would be really scared to feel like I'm a championship contender and I'm going to be like, all right, Lauri Markkanen, here's your first exposure to real playoff basketball. I don't know. I wouldn't want to
not just your first exposure to real playoff basketball. Lauri Markkanen is currently the active leader in most games played without ever playing one single playoff game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would be terrified.
13th most all time. Like that's a lot. 470 games without ever touching the floor in the playoffs is crazy.
And the reason why I think Anthony Davis, to me, had to be in the same tier as him is because I think you're getting AD for cheap, man. It's such a bad market for him. I wouldn't want to trade for him. Personally, I think the injuries are getting a little too concerning, and I agree with you. The age is a little much. He's definitely taking that $62 million player option unless he's getting an extension. But what does an extended Anthony Davis at that age look like? Either way, I would just feel way more comfortable bringing this Anthony Davis to my playoff roster than I would Lauri Markkanen. That's kind of why I have them in the same tier, despite AD's age and contract issues.
Yeah, I think we're pretty close on our like overall evaluation of Anthony Davis, and like the bright spots for AD is one. Dallas has maybe the best defense in the league. They're really, I think they're still number one or top five defensive rating team all season. And then when Anthony Davis is on the floor, they have a 121 offensive rating. And for an offense that has like just barely like eked by this whole season, that's been really impressive. When you look at his efficiency numbers, I think a lot of people have shown a light on how his rim efficiency has dropped. Additionally, always around like the mid 70s at the rim. And ever since he went to Dallas, he's been 68, 67% at the rim.
I think that's why
it's a product of where he is without high level guards.
Because I think what's easy to forget is it was 1 year ago to today where Anthony Davis was the superstar in the new hub offense that JJ Redick put in with the Lakers, where they were having him play at the elbow as a hub distributor, and he was awesome in that role, and the Lakers looked great with him and LeBron on the floor together. I just think he's in the worst situation, which is killing his own trade value, and I think he could be got, even though I think he's the second most valuable asset this cycle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fair to put him there. I am dying to know. You texted me last night and said you came up with an Anthony Davis
it was
trade.
the field goal stat. I couldn't believe that stat.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a crazy stat. Have you identified any like teams that you think should be shopping for Anthony Davis at this low price?
I don't know. I think I've heard the Pacers bandied about. I'm just worried that you get the Halliburton return year, which isn't the good year, and then by that point, AD is kind of old. I almost feel like AD has to go to a team that's like ready right now. There's no reason for Houston to want to mix it up, but I mean, if you put him on this year's Houston team, that'd be kind of fun. I don't know. Like, I don't know what. I honestly, I think that's the problem for AD. I don't know what the team is. Like, it sounds crazy, Patrick, but the team is like the Lakers.
Yeah,
like,
the
that's
Lakers.
The team that could really use him.
I mean, I already beat this drum, but I think if the Giannis thing doesn't work out, if the Hawks want to press their foot down on the pedal, I think Anthony Davis would be a clear upgrade from Kristaps Porzingis, and you could probably get him for mostly expiring contracts and picks.
It's just so hard because Dallas. Here's my thing with Dallas. Why are they in a rush to trade AD? Is it just to rid themselves of this Luka trade and get it out of the system? Why not trade one of these centers and just let AD be a core part of the team? I feel like if I mean
the way
Dallas,
I read it is to like maximize their draft position.
I feel like if I was Dallas, I would just accept the fact that you have an opportunity to put a contender around Flag early. You'll have a little rebuild phase in the middle of his career, and then you'll have a second contender team that you'll have to build after that. Because I think...
Can I share with you a really cursed trade that I came up with that I kind of like?
Please do.
Okay. So Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson to one of the only teams in the league that just actively really needs a veteran and a long-term center, the Charlotte Hornets, sending back LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges. It works. It lowers the Mavs cap hold, and the Hornets, they're only 3.5 games back of the 10 seed in the play-in. If the Bucks drop out, it's right there for them. They've got Khan, they've got all their young guys. They could rally around AD. They really need a linchpin in that defense. And then on the other side, the Mavericks, you can try out LaMelo Ball, who we'll talk about later, for a little while. It's cursed, but I feel like, I don't know, I don't hate it.
That's a good segue to the next tier. So you had Lowry in a tier by himself in tier 2.
Yes, I did.
So what is your tier 3?
My tier 3 is my flawed but special tier, and that is Anthony Davis leading the tier. Then I've got James Harden and Trae Young in that tier.
Wow, our tiers are so different now. Okay, so I have tier 3 for me is goofy guys.
Okay.
It's LaMelo Ball. It's
Wow.
Oh yeah, I don't like LaMelo Ball, but I
No, I mean you're so much higher on LaMelo than me. I've
it's not even that
traditionally been
it's
our
not that I'm high on LaMelo here, Patrick. It's that the drop off from tier 2 to tier 3 for me is just so big, and tier 4 is literally called Clippers and King Guy. But goofy guys, I
okay.
got LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Sabonis. See, initially I wanted to put Trae Young in a tier by himself in tier 3.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
I just there's too much tea leaves around the NBA that Trae Young is actually viewed in the same category as LaMelo Ball because of his defensive deficiencies that are not solvable. Even if Trae Young leveled up on defense, it just wouldn't matter. He's just too small. He's too frail. He's never going to be an impact defender, even if he tries his hardest, which he doesn't. So it's just I like Trae Young so much more than I like Sabonis and I like LaMelo Ball as basketball players. I'm such a much bigger believer in Trae Young's ability to elevate a playoff offense than those guys, but this tier list has to reflect reality in some way, and the reality is it seems like the NBA doesn't view it the same way. So that's why they're in the tier. Those guys are in a tier. We'll get to Harden. Do you want to talk about Harden now, or you want to talk about Harden when we get to my tier? I have him in.
Um, let's talk about him later. Maybe let's sink our teeth into Trae Young right now. The reason why I had Trae in this tier with these other guys is one, we have seen him perform on the big stage in his early prime. He's squarely in his prime right now, and be a really, really effective offensive player that can win playoff games. You can quibble with whether James Harden is that kind of guy. I think James Harden is clearly a regular seasons innings eater. You know, he can win games in the regular season. And then obviously Anthony Davis is just like super as good as Trae Young is at offense. Anthony Davis is that good at, if not better at defense, and then he's probably better on offense than either of these guys are at defense. But Trae Young, it's hard to judge him right now because one, he's only played 5 games this season, and those games were just so imbalanced and weird. But he's not on a bad contract to acquire. Only 1 year left on the deal after this season. That's a $48 million player option, which I would assume he's picking up. But like, not a long-term commitment, which I think pushes him up my trade value list a little bit. And then just like looking like, you know, Trae Young's a guy that is putting up 40% assist percentages every single year of his career. He already has 7 years with 40% assist percentages, which, you know, it's a little bit of a flawed stat. But when you look at guys who have that many seasons, you're looking at the greatest passers in NBA history. Like, he has the 8th most of all time. The only people above him, Magic, Mark Jackson, Russell Westbrook, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, John Stockton. I believe that if he is not your best player on your team, I think you can have a really, really high level and quasi championship contender. We've just never seen Trae Young in that scenario. And I believe that after this contract, he can probably be had for a little bit better of a deal because of his obvious deficiencies.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and why I have him squarely at the top of this tier, and why I debated putting him in a tier of his own. I just think he's a much more proven player than LaMelo Ball, and I think he's a much better offensive player than Domantas Sabonis, in my opinion. I guess I'm just afraid that the problem with all of these guys, like all the way down the list, is they're on these contracts that are at the very minimum $37 million to 40. Like, they're all $40 billion players at this point, starting next season. So you're paying them like the 1A or the 1B on your team. And the thing with Trae Young is, while we've never seen him be a number 2 option, he's still going to be the primary initiator for whatever team does trade for him. So in effect, he is still the top guy because of that. And I'm just worried that he hasn't shown a lot of off-ball chops. And the other scary thing with Trae Young, again, is not that he's a willing cutter, but he's not a dangerous cutter. I don't think he's a very effective, Trae Young's running down the lane, we're going to freak out. He's so short. He's so frail. I love Trae Young, and it just sucks. I just feel like I have to keep ragging on about his body, but it does hold him back in an NBA context in so many different ways. It makes him so much less effective, and I'm just a little worried if I was a team trading for him. What does it look like when this guy's the number 2?
Yeah, I mean, that is true. But, if you put a guy like, Lauri Markkanen or Giannis next to him, like, maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off of him. So, like, you can see his 3-point percentage go up 2 or 3% because he's getting easier shots. There's other people with gravity. Like, with Trae, we've just never seen him play with anybody that can offer any gravity to, like, I don't know, maybe he could grow into a better off-ball player than we've seen from him if there's, like, just really, really great, gravity on the court.
Yeah, I think I keep going against my own guys here. I feel like I'm always dunking on my guys because I literally was going to put Trae as the 4th most viable guy. But here's what I'd be afraid of if I was trading for Trae. We just haven't seen Trae sustain a super high level of 3-point percentage. Now, a lot of that is difficulty of shots he's been taking, but if he's going to be an off-the-ball star, it's going to be him running around, running off picks, doing a facsimile of Curry. That's where he could maximize his off-ball value, is with motion threes. And you're just banking on him really being 40% as that guy and him willing to be that guy. And I would be terrified about that. But I'd feel better about, I don't know. I think if I was a really bad team in the doldrums who's like a Pelicans, obviously they have DeJounte Murray injured, so that'd be a weird dynamic given what happened with Atlanta. But I almost feel like that's the best spot for a Trae Young, is an unserious team that needs to find a way to get to 40 wins year after year. And I think Trae Young's a good way to segue a bad franchise into a future good franchise.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have a question. Which one of these guys, or if we haven't got there yet, that's fair. Which one of these guys is the line of like, okay, I'll trade for this guy, but you have to pay me to take them on. Like, I need picks for this guy. Have we hit that there yet for you?
No, that's going to be the tier 4 for sure. Well,
okay.
I don't know. Do you want to talk about Sabonis or LaMelo right now?
I frankly cannot believe you have LaMelo and Sabonis as high as you do.
So I don't like LaMelo and Sabonis as we.
I know you don't.
But here's the thing. I just don't understand how James Harden, Zach LaVine, or Kawhi Leonard could have more value than LaMelo Ball or Sabonis. I just don't think they could.
I mean, it's just the contract, dude. Like, the reason I have James Harden this high in my 3rd tier is he only has one more season on his contract. He has a $42 million player option next season. And with how he's playing this year, I just can't believe that he's going to be like a complete like throwaway next season. Like, I think he's going to be of good value next season. And if it really works, then you can, figure out something, but he is definitely not going to be like some kind of max player. Even though he's 36, like what he's doing this season is like low key kind of vintage Harden. And
here's my thing with Harden. He puts a hard ceiling on your team, because if you trade for Harden at that 39 this year, 42 next year, you're saying this is our lead initiator for my basketball team. And I just don't trust 36 and 37-year-old James Harden to be my playoff lead initiator. It just who's signing up for that? That's the thing. Like, who's signing up for that?
Signing up for that if he's not also my lead scorer.
But that's the problem. So what is he going to be on his new version of his Sixers team? Like, we saw that.
No. He's going to be like on his Brooklyn Nets James Harden grind, where he's like maybe like one of the best point guards in the NBA, and he's doing his like best kind of Trae Young thing. Like that was so great in Brooklyn.
What's the team?
I don't know what the team is.
I think that's the problem. Is I don't know what, like, dude, to be honest, you know what the team is. If you really want to know what the team is, it's the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's the one team that could really elevate their current season by adding James Harden. Like, that would skyrocket the Mavericks. I think that could overnight make them like a significantly better team. So maybe that's the team.
You could
I think
get
that's
there.
The one team. I think that might be the team.
Yeah, you could get there pretty easy with like Clay, Gafford, and then some kind of Cody Martin, Najee Marshall thing, the Clippers would probably have to send back some salary. I mean, we know Kyrie Irving would be really excited to play with James Harden again.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other dynamic. I don't know. I don't know what the team is for Harden. I think it's such a low. So also with Harden, I just 36 years old. I know he's balling this year, but there's the cliff could come. Max Kellerman's cliff could come.
But even if it comes, you only have one more year to deal with, and then it's done.
Yeah. Okay, but that's why I didn't have him in that tier. I just don't know what team is signing up for him to be the lead initiator. So LaMelo Ball, I absolutely despise putting him in this tier, but I did. LaMelo Ball has a 4-year contract, which depending on how you look at LaMelo is a good thing or a bad thing. For me, that's a bad thing. I don't want to be a part of the LaMelo experience. Dude, LaMelo got benched the other day in the fourth quarter.
And it's not the first time he's been benched.
No.
He's been benched. I feel like for different coaches, he's been benched for years. And, I've been the LaMelo Ball defender on this show for as long as we've been running. But I couldn't do it. He's at the bottom of my next tier, to be honest, because this contract is it's just too big. Like he's been so bad on defense this year. Worst defensive rating of his career this year. And offensive rating really hasn't taken a jump in any way. We're seeing the lowest points per game from LaMelo. We're seeing the lowest shooting percentages of his career.
Dude, he takes the dumbest shots. No one cares that you make those fadeaway one-leg threes. You suck at winning basketball games. But I do think, just from research, me personally, Patrick, if these were my tiers without factoring in any research on what the NBA tea leaves are saying, I would have LaMelo in the bottom tier.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. And honestly, I don't think the NBA is too enamored with LaMelo either, because one, the dude doesn't play ever, and two, if someone believed in LaMelo, I think he would be traded by now.
So here's the LaMelo pro case that I always hear Hornets fans bandying about, who are LaMelo people, is that he isn't playing with anybody. Even last year, the small, I'm blanking on the small forward they drafted, Williams, the guy from Alabama.
Miller.
Brandon Miller was not very good last year. And obviously, they didn't get a lot. But here's my thing. Here's Patrick, why I think LaMelo sucks. You know what happened with those centers, Mark Williams and Nick Richards? They went to Phoenix.
I do.
They played with a real guard in Devin Booker, and they're good.
They're awesome. All right, Nick Richards sucks, but Mark Williams is awesome.
So that's my thing, is I just think people are like, oh, the Hornets supporting cast sucks. I don't think it sucks so bad that LaMelo, if he was as good as people say he is, couldn't elevate them.
Yeah.
So me personally,
I totally agree
the
with
only
that.
reason I have LaMelo in this tier is, one, he's younger than Harden, Levine, Leonard, which is my next tier.
Youngest person we're talking about today,
Youngest person
24.
we're talking about. And I do think there has to at least be a couple people in the NBA world who are like, got him for 4 years. If we're not a contender, right? I think the teams that should trade for LaMelo are teams that view themselves as serious teams that will be very, very hey, man, this is your one shot. It sucks for LaMelo that the Heat aren't looking to trade for him, because that's the team he really needs to end up on.
How about a James Harden for LaMelo swap?
Can I give you a crazy team? Just because,
Yes.
And it doesn't make sense, but some sort of Simons for LaMelo swap. Just get lock LaMelo in a room with Mazzulla and just see what comes out of it. We're
gonna have to put Bill Simmons on 24/7 watch if that happens.
But that's what I just feel like LaMelo needs to end up on a team with a Spoelstra, a Mazzulla, an Udoka. He needs to end up on a team with a coach who just does not give a fuck. He's you know what? I will bench you for the next 3 seasons. This is your prove it year.
My thing with LaMelo that I never understood, and I guess he's still 24, so he could still grow into it, is we've had so much exposure to his family in Lonzo and LiAngelo and whatever their dad's name is. And every one of those guys, as they got older, they got buff and thick. And LaMelo is so skinny still. I always thought, and he has the best size of any of them. I always thought that as he would get older, he would thicken up, get more strength, and be able, like, just when you're that big, when you're as big as LaMelo is, you're never gonna have like the Trae Young problem of like, I just literally have no chance. I can't get in front of them. He's a good mover. He's obviously has a lot of wiggle on offense, and he's never been able to like put that together in like not being like a complete traffic cone on offense.
I just feel like Patrick, it's a testament that he might not have a great work ethic.
Yeah. No,
I think
totally
it's weird.
right.
Like when I think of Lonzo Ball, I literally think like winning player. I think like a guy who's really dedicated himself to playing a winning basket. Like that's what's so weird. I don't know. I'm kind of done. Don't get on. I just had him in this tier because I just feel like if he is being viewed similarly to Trae Young, which to me is kind of shocking, then he has to be in the Trae Young tier. I had Sabonis in this tier because I just think he's a lot like these guys. Good offensive player, horrid defender, and he's just not a guy personally I would want on my team with the defensive issues. Also, the sneaky offensive issue of he is pretty dominant hand preferable in the playoffs. Teams have kind of preyed on that in big moments. Sneaky Sabonis thing no one ever wants to talk about.
Yeah, my thing with Sabonis is he hasn't played much this year, so I think it's easy to kind of forget like elements of his effectiveness, which I may have been victim of in this podcast. I had Sabonis way later in my tier list, and a big part of that is just he's sneaky older than you remember. He's 29 years old, and his contract is just terrible. $42 million this year, $45 million the next year, and $48 million the year after that. And I'm like, for someone that like to get the most out of him, he's going to handle the ball a lot. He can't shoot, and he can't play really next to almost any center, like starting center in the league. That's
always been my issue with Sabonis. You can't play him next to another big, and he can't defend the rim well enough to be your center. So he's just this unplayable guy in a serious team. He's not playable.
Like I think he's better than a lot of these guys, but trade value wise, it's just not there.
I also think his passing is so overrated the same way I think Bam Adebayo's passing is a little overrated. These guys played in systems where the whole offense is give the ball to Sabonis and Bam, and they hand it off to a guard who can shoot, and then the guy either shoots or then play makes. The system is literally built around juicing up their assist numbers. So I like Bam a lot. I'm not trying to dunk on Bam, but I just think like when people are like, wow, these guys are such great passers. It's like, how are they getting their assists? They're not getting their assists from crafty passing.
Yeah, they're more great at not like turning the ball over while having the ball, which there's something to be said for that. But yeah, it's not necessarily the same thing as like pure passing. Like it's not, we're talking about James Harden. We're talking about LaMelo Ball today. We're talking about Trae Young. All those guys are like gifted passers in like a completely different way. Yeah, the tough thing with Sabonis is just like, where could you possibly go?
Yeah, I think like I heard Bill was like, oh, it'd be great if they could do a Bam for Sabonis swap, which no. Like I would never trade Bam Adebayo for Sabonis ever. Like
can I tell you?
I feel like Sabonis is the LaMelo Ball to Bam's Lonzo Ball.
Yeah. I kind of see that. The one team that like I kind of like the idea of it, but it is totally impossible because they're a second apron team, is Cleveland. If you could do some kind of Jared Allen for, in like La La Land, if you could do Jared Allen for Sabonis, and then you have Evan Mobley next to Sabonis to kind of do the rim protection stuff. You have another guy that can handle the ball a little bit more than, Jared Allen can't really handle the ball at all whatsoever. Like, I'm attracted to that idea, but, they're above the second apron, so they can't aggregate contracts, and they could never make that trade work.
Yeah. Okay, so your tier 3 was who exactly?
So my tier 3, my flawed but special tier, is Anthony Davis, James Harden, and Trae Young.
Okay, so my tier 3 was Goofy Guys, which is LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, Sabonis, and I had AD in my tier 2. My tier 4 was literally called The Clippers and King Guy. Harden, Levine, and Leonard.
My tier 4 is injury prone with bad vibes.
Oh, I think your tier 4 is my tier 5, which I titled the 2019 draft class.
Yeah, it very well maybe. My injury prone with bad vibes guys are leading the tier is Zion Williamson. Then we've got Kawhi Leonard, who's sneaky been good this year, but oh my God, is there a guy with worse vibes than Kawhi Leonard this year? Ja Morant, obviously, terrible vibes, very injury prone. And then LaMelo Ball at the end of the tier.
Okay, so we've already talked about Harden ad nauseum. I had him in my Clippers tier. To me, Ja Morant, I instantly shot him to the bottom of the list.
To all of your tiers,
Yeah.
Ja Morant.
The first thing I wrote down was I put Giannis at 1. I made a bunch of space on my document, and then I wrote Ja Morant. And
so
I figured out
what is your differentiator between Ja and LaMelo?
My differentiator between Ja and LaMelo is I think Ja's just cooked. I think you're trading for a guy where there's no upside. I think you're trading for a guy who's past his prime. Well, I think Ja is so unserious to the point where he's making LaMelo look serious.
Yo, no. I mean, I agree with you that he's very unserious, but I don't know that did you not see what him and Jaren posted on their stories today?
No.
This morning, when I was driving in, I saw this. They both posted the same graphic that says only focus on the mission, focus on the mission, focus on the mission.
Yeah, dude. Ja's not a serious player. I just think Ja one is so injury prone. Now, I know LaMelo is too, but there's a real chance that Ja could never be the same player ever again. And if that's the case, he's not a good basketball player. If that's going to be the case, he's not an asset you want on your team moving. I didn't even write down his contract. I have no idea what his contract is. I just wrote "lol" as my notes for him. But
Ja Morant's contract, he has 2 years after this one. He's making $39 million this year. Next year, $42 million. And then his final year in 27-28, 44.
Yes.
And he's 26 years old.
You're paying him as a smaller guard to be your lead initiator, not knowing if he's ever going to play. At least with LaMelo, you could talk yourself into he can shoot. He has size.
Yeah. Okay. I see that.
I could talk myself into LaMelo could be an awesome 6-man if I can never get him to be serious.
Oh God, this is depressing. So you're saying is Ja the guy where it's if I'm trading for him, you need to supplement me with some kind of draft capital?
If you're trading for Ja, you're trading for John Wall post Achilles. That's how I'm viewing it.
Damn,
that's how low I am on Ja right now.
That is really low. I'm not quite that low. I think there is some kind of hope that maybe Ja could I don't think he's most likely not going to be the same player, but I think he could be an effective player if he had a change of scenery, got his head on straight a little bit, which I have him down here. I think he is a negative value contract right now. I don't think there's a great chance of that happening, but also his contract is not that bad, I guess.
But you're paying him to be your lead initiator. That's the problem. He's being paid like the guy who's going to handle the ball a lot for your team, and he's just not going to play. I don't know. I just couldn't be lower on Ja. I just don't think he's a serious guy. I think there's a chance he's out of the NBA way before anyone thinks he will be.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. And you even look at his rating stats over the years, and he's never had a super elite offense at any point, even in his best years, even in 21, 22 when he's getting MVP vote shares, it's a 116 offensive rating. And while he's on the court, the defensive rating is always pretty high. His lowest defensive rating, personal defensive rating, is 111. That's not a competitive championship team number for to your point from a lead initiator.
Yeah, and I know I probably sound like I'm coming off as someone who never liked Ja. For the record, second year Ja, third year Ja, I thought was truly special. A guy I would die to have on my team. I thought when he was attacking the rim and playmaking and when he was attacking like the rim and playmaking off that, I thought he was like one of the best. Like I thought he was like truly one of the most special like types of that type of guard, the uber athletic rim attacker. I thought he was like the best version of it. Like truly, I did. So for me, it's sad like to see the way his career's gone.
Yeah, no, it definitely is sad. And we missed it feels like we missed a lot of like his what could have been a more elongated prime for like just really stupid, I mean it's been litigated a lot, but like just stupid stuff, the fake gun stuff on the Instagram
The
lives,
laser
and it's like
pointer.
yeah, not even fucking basketball stuff. It's one thing if you literally can't get on the court like Zion, but it's another thing when like one, you're constantly injured, and two, you're just constantly getting like suspended and stuff for the stupidest
That's why I just feel like, you know what? LaMelo Ball runs red lights in his Lamborghini on camera, not a serious human being. I still think he's a whole tier of serious ahead of John Morant.
I think those two are just
Together?
cosmically combined and right next to each other.
You want to talk about Zion?
Yeah, I do want to talk about Zion. So Zion's 25. He has a new injury right now where he's going to be out. I think it's like a left abductor something. I wrote it down. Where's Zion? Yeah, abductor. He'll miss extended time. Shams Charania reported. He'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. And he's on a $39 million deal this year, and it has 2 more years left on his contract. 42 next year, 44 the next year. We've never seen him play in a playoff game. I mean, talk about sad. I think Zion is definitely squarely in the like, damn, like this sucks the way his career has played out.
Dude, so yeah, Zion, it kind of hurt me to put Zion on the same tier as Ja, just because there's going to be a part of me that always believes in Zion, especially now that he seems to have gotten his body in much better shape. Like, this is a new injury. This isn't even like a reoccurring one, right? This abductor. This is like a whole new thing for him.
Yeah, I believe this is new.
So here's the thing. He has played 70 games in a season. That's something Larry Markkinen has never done.
Wow. That's quite the stat. But the thing
if
about
he was
Zion,
on like if he was on a contract that was like 27 million, 29, 32, I think he would be a really attractive trade piece. I just think his contract is like 10 million too high for any serious team to be interested in.
yes, I agree with that. And I mean, the other thing about Zion is we've just literally never seen the Pelicans have like a super effective defense with him on the floor. It's like, because of how weird, like he kind of has to be your point guard to be effective on offense. And then when he's in that scenario, like the lineups that the Pelicans have ended up trotting out when he's on the floor, like, this year in the 10 games he played, 122 defensive rating. Obviously that's terrible, but going backwards, last year, 30 games he played, 118 defensive rating. The year before, 113. The year before, 112. And then that like basically brings us back to like his first 2 like rookie campaigns. I like, with a guy of Zion's size, you need him to bring a little bit more. Like, that was kind of what made him special at Duke, is like, even if he was a step behind, he was so explosive, so quick. He could recover so well that it like almost didn't matter. And that just never really came to fruition in the NBA, unfortunately.
Patrick, can I give you some stats?
Yeah.
Because I love Zion. Zion has a career win-loss record of 110 and 114. So he's just under 500 for his career playing in the Western Conference. Trae Young is a 45% win percentage playing in the Eastern Conference.
That's pretty impressive.
I think, now you can tell me where you think. I think if Zion had a track record of playing 65 to 72 games a season, Patrick, I would have him ahead of Markkinen in this.
Yeah, sure, but like, I mean, I think that's like the biggest
Ever.
but ever.
But I
Like,
guess
this
my
dude
point is,
doesn't play.
he doesn't play, but at least when he does play, like it seems like it is an overall positive impact despite the defensive concerns. In the way
yes.
I view it,
I mean,
like,
offensively, he's definitely special, and like you can't stop the guy. But like, why should we believe that this is gonna get better?
well, I had him in my bottom tier, so I guess my question for you is, what do the Pelicans have to give up with Zion to move him? And do they?
I mean,
have
if
to
I'm
give
the
something
Pelicans, I'm like, I'm not giving up anything to move this guy, because I mean, you're bad with him, you're bad without him. I mean, I think there's still some hope there that like you can get like maybe some future, maybe it's mildly protected picks. If you wanted to move off him, that's the tough thing for the Pelicans. Is I'm just like what's the next move? Like right now, you're basically already eliminated from the playoffs. You're 3-19. Like, I think there's maybe like one or two instances in NBA history where a team has recovered from that and made the playoffs, and that's not happening in this year's Western Conference.
Well, I read that they were going to move Zion the moment they got an offer they thought was acceptable.
I mean, yeah, I think now is the time, but like, yeah, it's just hard to like find the team. Like, this is another team that I look at like, hey, Clippers, maybe like give it a swing. Like if you like hit on it, then you'll be good and you won't have to miss out on all these picks. Like maybe you can get involved in like a 3-team Giannis trade where Giannis is going somewhere else and you can send Giannis or Zion to the Bucks so he can kind of either be their tank commander or just kind of like grow into being the best player on an Eastern Conference team. It's just, I don't know. It's so risky because he really like, we've talked about all these guys not playing very much, and I know he has that 170 game season, but other than that, it's been about as bad as we could have possibly imagined with Zion.
Anthony Simons, Baylor Shireman for Zion.
I mean, what? They gotta.
I mean, if you're the Celtics, is that not a little interesting?
It's a little interesting, but I feel like to fill out your roster, if you're the Celtics, with Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum, and with Zion's contract over the next couple of years, you are just kind of like surrendering to second apron hell, especially if you want to compete.
Can I give you one team that would probably raise Zion's injury risk, but he would low-key be so good in this system is the Miami Heat, where all they're saying is attack the rim. Just go, attack the rim. Yeah, it's the health. I don't know.
That one I like, because it's like the Heat are not, I don't think they're ever going to get to a place where they're like tanking, like if they win the lottery, they're going to be one of the teams that jump up really high. And I just don't think they're going to be in the lottery anytime soon. So I do kind of like that one.
Yeah. Okay, so the only guys we haven't talked about now are Zach LaVine and Kawhi Leonard. And here's the thing with Zach LaVine. He has a player option at the end of his contract that I think is like $49 million. If you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, so he's 30 years old. He has 1 year after this. It's a player option for $48 million. Just about 49.
And I think Zach LaVine for me is like LaMelo and Sabonis for you on this pod, where I feel like I've stuck up for him a lot over the 2 years of us doing this. I think I'm starting to see some of the bigger faults in his game, especially with the playmaking. And I feel like the issue with LaVine is I think he's at this weird point in his career where if he was willing to decline that player option and sign for a long-term contract that's not worth a lot, he would be a great six-man for a lot of teams. And I think the problem is, though, is like, I don't know if I want to pay him more than like $20 a year, but for him to recoup a $49 million player option, Patrick, he'd have to sign like a 3-year deal. And so there's too much money for him to leave on the table for him to take the role. So how important is winning to Zach LaVine? Because that's the real question. Is he okay giving up upwards of like $30 million the next 2 years to be a part of a winning team and be a six man for a winning team? Is he willing to take a huge discount to play for that type of team? I just don't know. And I think his trade value really does. His trade value really does scale with how willing he is to take or decline that player option, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is a trade value list, and I had him, my final tier was the Kangs. It was Sabonis and LaVine. Sabonis because of how big his contract is, and LaVine, like, to his credit, doesn't have that bad of a contract anymore because it's just about to end, but it's still big enough, to your point, to where it's like, why would I ever trade for this? You know, like, if you're a bad team, it's like, I think he's probably good for a couple wins where it's like, we're not interested in that, like, unless you're paying us with like real pick equity. And if you're a good team, like, who has the $40 million that they can just like ball out on bringing in Zach LaVine?
Yeah, I think the only way we see LaVine get traded is if it's over the summer and there's like some sort of weird sign and trade where he declines the player option and re-ups for like a long-term deal on a contender that he's willing to take less money to play for, but we don't know if that's something he's willing to do, so we just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're on the same page with Zach LaVine, unfortunately.
You know what team he could be kind of fun for, low-key, would be a little homecoming in Minnesota, if he was willing to do that?
Yeah, you know, Minnesota is a team that we haven't talked about at all. That's all these point guards or point guard adjacent players. I'm like, I wish the Timberwolves had like a real way to like get the one that they believe in, whether it's Zion or Ja or LaMelo or Trey or James Harden. Like, I think it would just kind of shell them, like change them too much to acquire one of these players.
Yeah.
With just because like all their, like, you couldn't sub out one of their big money players for one of these guys without completely changing the team that they are. But they are just in such a dire need of more ball handling.
So to, I guess, wrap up this exercise, my tier 1 was the Giannis tier. You had the same tier 1. My tier 2 was the big tall guys, which was AD and Lauri Markkanen. Your tier 2 was just Lauri Markkanen?
My tier 2 was in my prime and appropriately paid with Lauri Markkanen.
My tier 3 was goofy guys, LaMelo, Trae Young, and Sabonis. Your tier 3 was AD, Trae Young.
AD, James Harden, and Trae Young, my flawed but special tier.
I had tier 4, Clippers and King, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Kawhi. We didn't talk about Kawhi. I don't think we need to talk about Kawhi.
No. We will aspire to talk about him another day. My tier 4 is injury prone with bad vibes. That's Zion. Kawhi Leonard, who I will say a small shout out for Kawhi Leonard. When he has been on the court this year, he has been really, really good, especially on offense, but it obviously has not been enough. But it's been Zion, Kawhi, Ja, and LaMelo.
And my tier 5 is the 2019 draft class, which is Zion, Gap, Ja.
And my tier 5 is the Kangs. It's Sabonis and Zach LaVine. Honestly, Zach LaVine should maybe be in a tier 6, but
it's funny because I'm in tier 4.
Yeah. Or you had Zach LaVine in tier 4?
Yeah, I mean, just he plays.
Yeah,
he plays.
He does play. I'm just thinking strictly. I'm not saying like this is not my rank of these players.
It's a trade value. Yeah.
This is my trade value, and I'm just like it's so hard to imagine like realistic scenarios why Zach LaVine should be acquired via trade.
My thing, Patrick, is can you think back to what was the last good, respected championship quasi-contending team that traded for a really big injury-prone player? Is it just the Celtics with Porzingis? Is that the last time it's happened? And then I can't really think of another time recently. That's the one, right? It's Celtics trading for Porzingis?
Yeah, Celtics trading
that was
for
like a trade. They
Porzingis
didn't really give up like anything for that, if I recall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say like the Rockets when they acquired Dwight Howard, like he was pretty injury bitten.
He was coming
at
off
the
like a
time.
broken back with the Lakers. Yeah, dude, it doesn't. That's the thing. I guess why it's hard with these guys who have inconsistent games played over the years is good teams don't make trades for those kinds of guys.
No,
They don't take the risk.
because it usually doesn't get better, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, you want to wrap up with hot streak shooting slump?
Yes. Let's wrap up with Hot Streak Shooting Slump, the part of the program where we talk about our last 7 days and determine whether we are on a hot streak or we are on a shooting slump. James, how has your last 7 days been?
I'm on a slump, Patrick. And
Why?
So 2 nights ago, so my Instagram feed's been littered with like super high quality French hot chocolate, where I guess you cut up a chocolate bar and you melt it down inside of milk, and it's like super bougie hot chocolate. And I was like, I'm gonna make this, and I felt horrible afterward. And I never have milk in my house. I never just buy milk, but I had the milk from making it the other night, and I was like, all right, let's have a glass of milk. Why not? It's got like 13 grams of protein, dude. My stomach hurts so bad, and I'm like low-key worried I'm like developing lactose intolerance. Like I have a half and half of my coffee every morning. Never had an issue, and right now my stomach is low-key starting to feel a little weird. So, dude, I can you develop lactose intolerance later in life? Because dude, I
believe
like
you can.
Dude, I think I'm developing it, and I'm terrified because I can't go without that. I need that.
Yeah, that's great. What kind of glass are we talking about on this glass of milk?
Just like a 8-ouncer, you know.
Okay. Yeah, not even much to cause you this pain. Well, that's scary. You know, we're getting old, James. We can't just be drinking glasses of milk.
That's such a like boomer thing to do.
Were you guys did you guys grow up in like a we drink a glass of milk at dinner house?
No, you know what we always had was my parents always got 2 jugs of cranberry juice from Costco. We always had cranberry juice when I was growing up, like just an absurd amount of cranberry juice, which it's not good for you.
Really? Cranberry juice isn't good for you?
No, dude. So cranberries are really bitter. They're like one of the most bitter fruits. So to bring that like cranberry sweetness out of them, you have to dump like it's so much added sugar to make cranberry juice even palatable. So yeah, it was tough. You don't know that as a kid, but it's basically like 180 to 200 calories. It's like a soda. Like cranberry juice is basically soda.
I guess that makes sense. It's funny. Cranberries makes me think we haven't talked since Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was pretty good. We've switched from turkey to brisket the second year, and it's just brisket is so good, man.
Brisket is very good. Yeah, the cranberry comment. I had like 4 different cranberry dishes on Thanksgiving because my parents now live out in Southern California, and they would come out for Thanksgiving before, but my fiance is from Southern California, so they always do a lunch Thanksgiving, and then my parents do dinner Thanksgiving.
So it works out for you.
So it more or less
does.
It does and doesn't, yeah. But this year, I guess I'm on a hot streak. It was a nice little Thanksgiving weekend, but Thanksgiving, there was a little bit of drama in our Thanksgiving at my family's nighttime Thanksgiving, because my parents went through this whole move, and my mom always makes her turkey in this like plug-in like big roaster that she uses. And the roaster, it was hot, but it wasn't getting like hot enough to where the turkey was taking forever to cook. So I think we were planning on eating dinner at like 6, and then we ended up, because of like the whole roast, this was a fiasco. The roaster, it like ended up getting broken in their move. So then we had to move the turkey to the oven, and we didn't end up eating until 8. And I could tell everyone who didn't have lunch Thanksgiving was getting a little hangry, but me and Ashna were just chilling because we had already eaten a full Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know why. I always will just go back for seconds on my first Thanksgiving, even though I know I am staring down the barrel of a second Thanksgiving in like 3 hours.
Dude, I felt so old. Like me, Jesse, like my girlfriend, his girlfriend, our friend Gavin. Dude, we all got our plate with like our brisket, our mac and cheese, our mashed potatoes, our salad. And bro, after like 3 minutes, all of us were like, I'm done. And there was so much food left over. Like I had leftover brisket for the next 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Thanksgiving.
The first year I couldn't second plate it, man. I got cooked. I don't know, man.
Wow.
I feel like I've really aged this week.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Just strictly through like food intake.
Yeah, food injury. I'm like Zion.
Damn, that's funny. Did you get up to any Black Friday shopping post Thanksgiving commerce?
Kind of. I did some stocking shopping. Yeah, stocking shopping. I bought my dad
some binoculars.
Spoilers. I bought my dad something. I don't know if it had a discount on it though. Sadly, I made the mistake of going to the Grove on Black Friday. Terrible idea. And we weren't even there for shopping. We were there for a movie.
Yeah,
dude, it was
come
awful.
on, man.
It was awful.
You know better.
But the Grove doesn't even have stores that give discounts. That's the thing. The Grove is covered with stores like Louis Vuitton. Like we were there to go see a movie, but like Louis Vuitton doesn't give you Black Friday discount.
Yeah.
Why are y'all shopping on that day? It's a dumb day to shop
funny.
at the Grove. Like go to Century City. If you're an LA person, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, I did I tell you about my genius Christmas plan?
No.
Dude, so I need a new computer, and that's a crazy thing to ask somebody for Christmas, especially if you want like a good computer, right? Like a good desktop computer.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers with computers.
So I was like, I'm 30. I never want anything for Christmas. People are like, what do you want? I'm like, truly, give me like a Starbucks gift card or a Target gift card. Just help me buy day-to-day stuff because I don't want more stuff in my house. Like I just don't want more things, right?
Yeah.
Like a good gift for me is actually what you got me for a housewarming gift, like a bottle of Aperol. Like I'll use that. It's a great
something
gift.
you can drink,
Something
and then it's
use.
gone.
So I was like, why don't I just ask everybody for individual computer parts?
There you go. That's not a bad idea.
So it works for a lot of things. Like the graphics card's too expensive. I'm going to buy that myself. I feel horrible asking somebody for a graphics card. Processors right on the edge. Could be a good duo gift. But, dude, so apparently RAM, I don't know how computer tech savvy you are, Patrick, which is like a core. There's like 3 core parts of the computer. There's the processor, there's the video card, and there's the RAM. The RAM used to be dirt cheap to get a lot of it. But apparently now these AI and server farms are so demanding that it's skyrocketed the price of RAM. So what I thought was going to be an easy, can you guys help me get some RAM? It's not that much, is now in the zone of like, I think I have to buy this myself because I would feel too bad asking somebody to buy it for me.
That's I don't really know much about computers, but it's almost giving like what's it called for a wedding where not catalog. You just have a list of computer parts that you're just gonna send to anyone.
On my to-do list the other day was choose who to ask for what. So it's funny. My girlfriend's like, tell my parents what they need. They should get you, and I'm like, RGB 8 mid computer case.
It'll be great. You can just go pick it up. I have a funny, I guess my last story. So when my family always does a Secret Santa for Christmas, so we don't all have to buy all 6 of us. There's 6 in my nuclear family, and then our like long-term partners are a part of it too. And so like 3 weeks ago now, we went over to my parents' house for just like some kind of family gathering, and we passed around a hat. We all took pieces of paper and we got our Secret Santa people and thought that was going to be the end of it. 2 weeks later, it's Thanksgiving. And we walk in, literally the first thing that happens when we walk into my parents' place at Thanksgiving is my dad comes over and he's like, hey, Ashna, guess what? Because my fiance was the one that passed out the hat. Guess what? So when I drew my name, I drew the piece of paper out of the hat. I just totally forgot to look at it until like 2 days ago. And turns out I drew myself. We're like, what? Like half the people have already bought the gifts for your Secret Santa people. And now my dad is just like not in our family Secret Santa. Like getting older, our parents are getting older. I don't know how to deal with this. Cause it's like, why not, just just open it for 1 second and we can redraw. I don't know. I just thought that was, oh, Dad, I know you're probably going to listen to this.
How does the curiosity not get him to just look at it right away?
I don't know. I will defend him in saying that we were in the midst of a Scrabble game that I won. So
you were
maybe
talking
it was
about this like 2 pods ago, I think. I actually recall we talked about Scrabble. Yeah.
There was a lot going on in that Scrabble game. But yeah, so if your parents are getting older during the holidays, just know we're all dealing with it. All right, that's all I got. Let's call
it there. Yeah, that was a good hot streak shooting slump. We'll wrap it there.
Yeah. Shout out to Sam, who messaged me this week and said that he loved hot streak shooting slump and was happy to see it back. We are happy that you.
We're back. Yeah, sorry. The return of the pod has been a little messy. Patrick and I are getting back. We're going to be better at communicating. We totally did not communicate the no Thanksgiving. We have to come up with a Christmas plan, actually.
We do have to come up with a Christmas plan. We will come up with a Christmas plan, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, do all that stuff. Peace.